"You're not walking out of here with that." The man's voice cut through the hush, thready with fear and rage. "You think a locked vault can hide the truth?" she shot back. Her knuckles whitened around the folder, breath harsh in the brittle silence of the barn. "You're bluffing, there's nothing in there." She set her jaw, 8 million says otherwise. He stammered, taking a step back as the single bulb swung above them, its light slashing across the scar on her wrist. "I won't let you." "Try me. Last time you tried, you left me in a ditch." He surged forward, fist clenched. She didn't flinch. "Go ahead, make your move. There are 3 people outside and they heard every word." A tremor slipped down his jaw. You don't understand what you're risking." "I do," she whispered. The door banged open behind them. Her gaze flickered to the shadow in the doorway, pulse racing. To understand how she ended up surrounded by ghosts, cash, and unfinished family business, you have to start 8 days earlier, before the valley's secrets began clawing their way to the surface. She decradled the coffee mug too tight that morning, heat pulsing through her palm until her knuckles ached. The din of the Jasper bus station pressed in late April wind, shoving grit through the cracked tiles, announcements echoing off faded wood. With her left arm still in its half-splinted prison, Kara Murphy felt every pair of eyes flicker from her swollen hand to the duffel digging into her ribs. $17 in the bank. An arm stitched together with plates. And a letter thick with the kind of legalese meant to smother hope, announcing her claim to a property no one wanted. A 2-acre pit on a forgotten Arkansas cliff, crowned by a farmhouse and rumors of collapsed mines. Kara worked her jaw and forced herself to stand. If she kept thinking about the hospital, last year the Jeep upside down, the whole right side of her world gone numb, she'd freeze. Instead, she limped out into grit and cold, wind roaring through leaves, the dull ache of her splinted wrist a jangling alarm. The lawyer's words snaked back. "It really isn't worth the paper it's printed on. You're the only surviving kin." Her phone chimed with a notification, $45 in pharmacy debt sent to collections. Her cousin Janet had texted, again, "Give it up, Kara. There's nothing for you out there." A wry laugh. Even in her own family, she was the afterthought. Pocketing the phone, she studied the Valley bus schedule. Jasper, the edge of Newton County. No rental cars, only an ancient shuttle offering to drop her off near the old Murphy barn. She climbed aboard, splint awkward against her thigh, the driver's side-eye sharp as a blade. He grunted, "You sure about it, Miss Murphy? That place is half fallen down." "I don't have anywhere else to go," she said, voice thin. A folded envelope peeked from her coat. She stroked it with her thumb, finding the hard edge of a brass object taped to the inside. A key, too old for any modern house, teeth jagged, stamped J.D. Something in her chest twisted. She'd never been to Arkansas as a child. Granddad never invited her mother back. After the crash, she'd needed somewhere to vanish. This inheritance, if you could call it that, was all she'd been left. If you've ever felt your name was a punchline to someone else's joke, if you had to prove you weren't just the weakest link, then you understand why people gamble everything when nobody else believes in them. The shuttle jerked forward, leaving the world she'd known in a haze of exhaust. By dusk, the edge of the Murphy property loomed, a stone wall buckling under creeping vines, the house beyond withered, 3 stories drooping over a sunken porch. The barn's roof sagged by the cliff edge, doors yawning wide. 17 steps from the gate, her right foot faltered. She blinked sweat from her brow and almost slipped, her tendon pinched as she steadied herself against the mailbox. A heap of local notices, property tax threats, a corporate letterhead for Mineral Valley Solutions, and a handwritten envelope marked with her initials, KM. She tore the envelope open, eyes skimming a single line. "Granddad said you'd come. The barn's engine holds what matters." A shaky laugh, that made 2 for 2, a key and a riddle. The autumn dusk pressed in, shadows seeping over the porch slats. Her boots crunched gravel as she limped toward the barn. Wind slapped at the paint-flaked doors. She hesitated, the key warm in her palm, heart stuttering uneven. The engine, what the hell could he have meant? No choice but forward. The barn's doors shrieked open, gouging furrows in the dust. Kara froze, breath clawing at her lungs. Her world was about to tilt on its axis. Night swept over the yard as Kara stood framed in the doorway, the air thick with rust and old hay. She scanned the barn, a John Deere tractor, one of the few things upright, sat wedged between collapsed stalls and an avalanche of ancient tires. Her foot sent a wrench skittering. She caught herself, wincing at the pain in her healing arm. Moving by lamplight, she circled the tractor. Every Murphy knew the stories. Great-granddad Hank rode the Deere into the valley after the mines closed, dreaming dust and blood and more than a few debts. Kara had never met a single one who came out happier for the land. She lifted the hood with her good hand. Grease-stiff hinges protested. Inside, the engine blinked green and gold, a caked mass, even the dipstick eaten by time. Bracing herself, she slipped the key into a rusted panel half hidden under the air filter. It turned. The entire compartment popped outward. Behind the false wall, a steel-lined vault was wedged into the belly of the machine, just wide enough for a shoebox, locked tight. She flinched as thunder rumbled outside. "Well, Grandpa," she muttered, "what's a girl supposed to think?" A tarp covered the rear fender. She yanked it clear, something tumbled to the floor. An oilskin pouch stiff with time. Inside, a wad of $100 bills, crisp as brand new. For half a second, Kara stared. No way, couldn't be real. These bills were dated 1934, serials lower than she could count. A handwritten inventory fell free. She struggled to steady it in her trembling fingers. Property of H.M. Murphy. Full accounting to my daughter if she ever comes. Kara blinked away grit and memory. Her mother, Marion, had never spoken of Arkansas except to curse it. A second letter. This one was addressed to Kara directly in looping lines. If you're reading this, it means the rest kept away for good reason. Understand, I couldn't make it up to your mother, but you carry our name, this is the cost. She fumbled for her phone, snapping a picture by habit. The last page revealed a second shock. If you find the vault, keep it safe from them. The mining men never stop. There was one thing I never told Marion, she wasn't my only. I pray you forgive me. Kara stumbled backwards, letter fluttering to the ground as her mind reeled. Not my only. Stomach knotting, she tore open the pouch fully. Row after row of banded, unbroken bills. Her breath rasped. The air seemed to hum. Her grandfather, the cutthroat patriarch, had stashed millions in Depression-era cash under their noses and nobody had found it. Yet. But that meant she wasn't the only grandchild, and if the money was discovered now, every shark in town would converge. Kara shakily locked the pouch back inside the panel. Everything hurt a wild, sharp clarity. The only way out was through. She pocketed the inventory sheet, anxiety buzzing in her chest. She needed help fast. Sliding her phone out, she punched in the only number she still trusted. Samuel L. Brink, Jasper Historical Society's archivist cum gossip monger. He answered on the second ring. "Sam here, who's this?" "It's Kara Murphy. We met at my mother's wake 100 years ago." He laughed, dry and curious. "Don't tell me you found the stamping press, or are you finally cleaning out the old barn?" She hesitated. "Something like that. I need a ride into town, found something I can't explain." "You sound like hell, Murphy. I'll be there in 20, you hungry?" "Starved." "Hang tight, kid." She leaned her good shoulder against the cold iron of the Deere. Outside movement. A flash at the property line, truck headlights raking the darkness. Her breath stuttered, voices distant but rising. They were already coming. Sam arrived in a battered Jeep, wheels crunching up the gravel. He tromped out, glasses fogging, pea coat swallowing his wiry frame. "Well, you look like you wrestled a bear, not a John Deere," Sam sniffed. Kara sat on the porch steps, pouch hidden at her side. You ever hear of anyone hiding a safe in a tractor? His gaze sharpened. They hid all sorts in the 30s, what you find exactly. Bundles of $100 bills, dated 1934. Pristine, at least 20 bricks worth, there's a ledger. Sam's eyes widened just slightly. You're serious? He crouched beside her, lowering his voice. You know, Mineral Valley Solutions has been circling this property, got themselves a state senator's ear pressuring widows out of half the valley. You finding this might change everything. A branch snapped inside the barn wind, she told herself. Kara handed over the letter. Read the last page. Sam scanned, his mouth clamped shut. He alludes to another kid, you know what that means. She shook her head. I grew up thinking I was the only Murphy left. He handed back the letter gently. If the mining company gets wind of this, you'll never see a cent. They'll move to seize the cash as assets from a criminal transaction. Old mining shell companies have lawyers on retainer for this kind of stunt. Kara forced herself upright. Do I even have a claim? Sam nodded, but his eyes were stormy. You do, but only if you prevent any rapid transfer or sale. Do you have the bills themselves? In the panel under lock, you know how to get them authenticated? Kara asked, voice raw. He nodded. I have contacts at the State Museum, can get a team up here tomorrow off the books at first. Best play is keeping quiet. If that company gets word, their fixers come fast. Thunder rattled through the valley. Kara glanced at her phone. 8 days until a Senate hearing, Sam had said. That meant 8 days before the local government could be pressured into a heritage sale, cash gone, property lost, her entire claim wiped out. We need proof the hoard belongs to my side, and safety in case they try to force us out. She looked at Sam, forcing a smile. Maybe I'm still strong enough to fight. We'll make sure nobody gets their hands on it before the truth comes out, Sam answered. The back porch light flared, then sputtered. A cold breeze swirled grit against her cheeks. Tonight the war really began. Sam's contacts, an old archivist named Millie and a quiet historian called Tyler, showed up at dawn, breath frosting in the cold. Still wore suits, old school, Sam's type. Millie squinted up at the barn, shaking her head. 20 years chasing fairy tales like this. You ever find gold, Brink? He grinned. We aim for the stories, Millie. Cash is just gravy. Tyler worked quietly, setting up a portable UV scanner beside the deer. He unfolded the bills gently, eyes darting over the serials. These are flawless, he murmured. No rot, not even dust in the seams. Kara hovered in the doorway, sleeve bunched over her splint. Does it look like it was laundered? Tyler shook his head. Most likely pulled straight from Federal Reserve vaults in the mid-30s, hidden away. It's not just money, it's a living artifact. As Tyler worked, Millie dug through the inventory sheets. She frowned at the last page. He implies Marion wasn't the only child. Kara swallowed hard. There's no other Murphy in the records. My mother's birth certificate names him and no one else. Sam interjected, adoption maybe, or a child born unregistered. Kara, you know what this means if the press gets involved before we sort it. She nodded, blood in the water. Her phone buzzed, Janet's name flashed on the screen. She let it ring out. The team packed up, promising to deliver the bills, one stack only for official authentication in Little Rock. Receipt signed, chain of evidence tight. Sam caught her before leaving. You trust me with the lot. Her hand shook. No, but I trust I'm out of options. He gave her a soft look. You ever get the shakes, cold sleep, gnawing hunger? All the time, she whispered. He clapped her shoulder. Just means you're not numb yet. Thunder growled again, distant. The others loaded the bills and left. The house felt emptier than ever. Early the next morning, Kara's phone lit up with a new message, a scan of a land deed from 1937. Sam had found it in the county archives. Under the name Henry Murphy, The property described included 2 miners, shacks, and all contents of barn equipment. She scrolled lower. An addendum. In the event of death, all is designated for issue of my blood, legitimate or not. She dropped the phone, heart pounding. Issue of my blood, that meant her, and maybe someone else. Movement outside, the same pickup from last night idling at the far edge of the lane. Tinted windows, unfamiliar. She ducked behind the curtains, unease coiling in her belly. Kara dialed Sam. There's a truck outside, you send anyone. No, they showed up at the archive too, asking about you. Corporate plates, Mineral Valley Solutions. Kara, lock your doors. A knock at the porch jarred her bones. Low voices, she has to be here. Couldn't have gone far one-armed. She tucked the pouch of bills and led her into a storage panel inside the fireplace, wincing at the effort. If they come in, they'll find nothing but ashes, she muttered. The knock came again, louder. She forced herself to the door, peering through the slit. A beefy man, mid-40s, suit collar peeked out above a muddy jacket, not from any neighbor. Mineral Valley, then. Miss Murphy, we just want a word. This is about your property, may we? Talk from there, she snapped. He exchanged a look with his partner, who kept a hand on his belt. He offered up a card. Dale Porter, Land Acquisitions. You must know the property is slated for condemnation. We're offering a fair premium, $200,000 cash up front, papers ready to sign, clocks ticking. Bait, she swallowed. I'm not interested in selling. A flicker of irritation. Then at least let us inside, town's talking. Some say there's stuff in that barn that shouldn't be there. Old explosives, dangerous things, maybe call the sheriff. Kara bristled, already spoke with the county, this is private land. His jaw tensed, think about our offer, ma'am, otherwise there are other ways. They left, tires spitting grit. As soon as they disappeared, Kara made calls. Attorney's office, no answer. Tyler, the historian, picked up. They won't wait, Miss Murphy. If the corporation pushes for eminent domain, you have a week, maybe less, before the court seizes everything. What if I can prove the cash is mine? Show the deed, be ready to fight, and for God's sake, don't disappear. That night her dreams tangled, scraps of memory, her mother's hard voice, her grandfather's arm rough but kind when he handed her a birthday card with a mysterious coin. You keep this, kid, it'll keep you luckier than me. She woke to banging at the barn just before dawn. Threw on her coat, phone in pocket, heart slamming. The doors hung ajar, fresh boot prints in the mud. Someone had tried to crack the John Deere panel, the lock was gouged. Kara gritted her teeth, too close, time to move. She shifted the cash pouch and the letters inside a backpack she slung crossbody, awkward over her splint. As soon as full light hit, she shoved a tattered seat in her old Chevy, breath coming short, and set out for Sam's house in town. She was done waiting for the next shoe to drop. Sam's kitchen smelled of burned coffee and damp paper. He spread out the deed, old photos, county tax records. He popped a cigarette into his mouth, unlit. You're running out of time, Kara. I need to find out who else Granddad meant. Any way to check birth records from the 40s. Sam scratched his jaw. I'll call in a favor at the church. If there's a baptism, someone's bound to recall. She slid him the pouch of money and the letter. Hide this somewhere, even I can't find it. He smiled wearily. You trusting me with $8 million, progress. Down the street, a pickup idled, black windows blank. Kara felt the urge to run. What happens if they find me first? She asked. You play up your recovery, Sam said. Let them underestimate you, but don't let them corner you. These guys aren't used to losing. Kara imagined the farmhouse, the cloying scent of mold and old smoke. Her phone buzzed. Email from Tyler. Got birth ledgers, there's no other Murphy child but one unknown female listed as an infant in 1942, delivered by your grandfather's nursemaid. Evidence, Sam, my grandfather had another daughter, never recorded proper. I think I'm the only one left. His smile was small and sad. This might give you standing. Her hand shook. I don't feel lucky, I feel surrounded. You survived a crash most people wouldn't. That's all the luck you need. They planned next steps. Sam would set up a press conference after authentication, attract state historical preservation groups. Kara's job, hold on until the Senate hearing in 8 days and pray someone in authority would step up. Back on the farm, Kara packed a duffel with supplies. Water, non-perishables, the less sentimental artifacts she wouldn't mind losing if torched. That night, truck tires crunched in the drive again. Voices. She drew her breath shallow. Never thought recovery would mean holding her ground against men with briefcases and threats. The plan was in motion, but the danger was closing in fast. 3 days to the hearing. A fiery sky bled over the horizon as Kara paced behind her dining table, trying to steady her trembling hand with a mug of black coffee. Outside, the company pickup idled again, headlights off. She pressed her back against the wall as her phone rang. A recorded voice. Miss Murphy, you are required to appear before the Senate Committee on Land Assignments in 3 days' time. Failure to attend will mean forfeiture. Sam appeared at noon, bearing a thick manila envelope, the authentication certificate for the bills, notarized and sealed. He slid it across the table. This is your proof, unassailable. You just have to get it to the hearing and survive the next 3 days. She stared at the envelope, feeling the weight of unresolved decades pressing on her chest. Voices rose outside. Janet, her cousin, had shown up with a man in a Mineral Valley badge. Kara, open up. Janet's voice pounded at the door, high and shrill with guilt. Let's talk this out. Kara's hand hovered on the knob, indecision gnawing deep. Janet kept going. They'll buy us out. No lawyers, no scandal. Granddad was dirty. Let's end this before we all burn. You're trying to protect yourself, Kara snapped, voice hoarse. He left that money for a reason. Janet's tone shifted, urgent. Think what you're risking. You were always the unlucky one. Why sign up for another disaster? Kara drew a breath balanced between fear and rage. Don't you want the truth out? A chuckle, low and bitter, from the man at Janet's side. You're out of your depth. Walk away, Miss Murphy. Janet's voice softened. Please, Kara, I can't lose everything over someone else's mistake. Thunder smacked the roof, and for one fleeting moment, Kara contemplated surrender. But every scar burned a reminder. The only way forward was through. She pressed her back to the door, heat in her palm, watching Janet's shadow retreat. The hearing was the only safe place left to fight. The day of the hearing arrived beneath a livid sky, threat of a storm on the wind. Kara stood rigid at the bus station, duffel slung over her badge shoulder, the certificate cradled in her pocket. Tyler and Sam flanked her. Plan is simple, Sam whispered. You enter, hand them the certificate, and you name yourself as sole heir. No deals, no admissions. If the company gets aggressive, let them. She flexed her immobilized hand, lips white. I can do this, she breathed. Tyler handed her a folder. Maps of the valley, tax records, everything they'll ask for. Stick to the facts. She nodded, rehearsed. If she fell here, it would not be for lack of evidence. They stepped into the building, the air sharp with disinfectant and stale coffee, lobby lights flickering. As Kara approached the hearing doors, 2 security men eyed her duffel. Ma'am, we'll need to screen that. She offered it up, keeping her arm close. Janet was already inside, gaunt cheeks pale, hair pulled severe. You made it, she whispered hollow. Why wouldn't I? You called my bluff, Kara retorted. Janet's mouth trembled. I didn't want this to get ugly. Kara met her eyes. It was always ugly. Inside the hearing room, a steel table was laid with name placards, company men to the right, county historical reps to the left. The state senator, thick-jowled and sour, presided at the center. All rise, he intoned. Mineral Valley's lawyer, a sallow executive called Winston, began fast. The claimant, Kara Murphy, is contesting legitimate purchase of condemned land. Further, she's been in unlawful possession of assets possibly tied to historic criminal conduct. We move to dismiss the claim. Kara's grip on her folder tightened until her splint dug into flesh. Objection, she said. The assets in question are family property, documented and bequeathed directly. I have the authentication certificate and land deed. The senator peered down. Let's see it. Janet barely looked up, knuckles white. Kara stood. I submit official authentication, depression-era currency, concealed by Henry Murphy for legal beneficiaries. The property deed names issue by blood or otherwise. I am the only kin. The lawyer smirked. Self-serving, Miss Murphy, your grandfather's actions are a matter of public record. Is there proof no other Murphy is pending? Sam slid her a file. Birth records, only child, no others recorded. Janet leapt to her feet, tears welling. There was another. Winston grabbed her arm, hissing, Janet, not now. Janet's voice cracked. I lied. I told them Kara was never meant to inherit. I was trying to stop this, protect us from scandal. The room stilled, Winston's composure shattered, voice shaking. Move to recess, he barked. The senator shot him a baleful glare. Only after this is resolved. Sam led Kara forward. The evidence was handed over. Whispered consultations ensued. Sam leaned in. You're nearly there, just hold. Thunder rolled again outside, wind rattling glass. Winston's turn. Our interest is simple, to preserve the valley. Mineral Valley Solutions controls 3 properties at risk. This woman is a liability. Kara's voice cut in. You threatened, harassed, and trespassed. Those are crimes, not preservation. The senator raised a brow. Kara pressed her advantage. Here's phone evidence. They came to my property, threatened sale under duress. I was told to disappear. Janet's crying took over, sharp and convulsive. Sam's phone buzzed, a message. He nodded at Kara, voice low. The press picked up your story. Public opinion swinging. Senator can't push this under the rug. The senator called for order. This claim belongs before the state's historical board, not a fire sale for private mining. I will not sanction another valley lost to corporate demolition. Miss Murphy, you are the rightful possessor under the law. Mineral Valley's claims are hereby denied. This evidence will be surrendered to the Historical Society for preservation. Winston shook, pale and sweating. Kara exhaled, done. Winston stood, fist balled. You're not walking out of here with that. His voice was a snarl, fractured by panic. You think a locked vault can hide the truth? Kara shot back, feeling every scar, every tremor, as if the old John Deere's iron was holding her upright. You're bluffing, there's nothing in there. She set her jaw, burned by all the years of being overlooked. 8 million says otherwise. Winston surged forward, a predator unmasked. I won't let you. Try me. Last time you tried, you left me in a ditch. He faltered, the enormity of his failure visible on his face, skin sagging as doors banged open behind them. Security stepped in, eyes flinty. Kara faced Winston squarely, daring him to move. Go ahead, make your move. 3 people outside heard everything. Winston sagged, tremors running down his jaw. You don't understand what you're risking. I do, she whispered, justice cut bold as a scar. Janet slumped in her chair, broken by the weight of exposure. The senator's voice thundered, security, escort these men from the building. Miss Murphy, the board will oversee preservation, and the funds will be held for research and historic restoration, under your stewardship. As security led Winston out, he wrenched free, eyes wild. You ruined us, you ruined everything. Kara's hand trembled, fear, relief, and the echo of all the times she'd been told she was nothing at all. Janet whispered, I never meant for it to end like this, Kara. Kara looked away, but it had to. Sam clasped her shoulder. It's over, you did it. Outside, the clouds finally broke, rain streaming across the parking lot. She let the world soak in. 2 days after the hearing, news swept through Jasper. Winston, too proud to accept defeat, too shamed by public failure, drove off the highway into a ravine, truck bursting into flames. The company quietly posted his obituary, listed his cause as accidental. Janet withdrew from public life, unreachable, her name new currency for whispered pity. Kara held a new kind of responsibility. With Sam's help, the historical board placed the farmhouse and the valley land under preservation status. The vault's contents funded restoration, scholarships, and more quietly, research into local innovations once scorned. The money didn't make her whole, but it gave her purpose. She poured herself into cataloging her grandfather's letters, tracing designs for inventions he'd barely dared to sketch, helping others build on his work. One morning, sunlight caressed the old stone porch. Kids from the valley visited, their hands brushing displays of bill bundles and model blueprints. Sam found her reading on the steps. "You know," he drawled, "not many can say they steered the future with a splinted arm and old family dirt." She grinned, closing her book. "Turns out you can survive a crash and still change the world. Sometimes you have to hit bottom before you see what's been buried right under your feet." So if you ever wonder what courage looks like, it's a person refusing surrender, even after they've already lost everything, and standing firm when the world says, "Run." For Kara Murphy, the best kind of history was the one you wrote yourself. And somewhere, under the abandoned barns and the sighing pines, her grandfather's unfinished dreams echoed forward, waiting to be answered one more time. Late that afternoon, with the rain finally dwindling, Kara wandered behind the barn, following the scent of wet grass and the hush that settles only after the storm. The world felt quieter, boundaries remade, her breath easier for the first time in what seemed like years. She ran her fingers over the rough bark of the sycamore near the bluff, the way she used to ground herself after every setback. Below, the valley glimmered, her valley now, or at least a piece of it saved. She was startled by footsteps. Sam approached, a paper bag in hand, 2 steaming cups inside. "Peace offering," he said, offering her one. She smiled, eyes stinging. "You ever believe we'd pull it off?" "Honestly," Sam sat beside her on the back steps, stretching his long legs with a groan. "I had my doubts when the pickup first rolled in, but you never blinked." Kara sipped the bitter coffee, quiet for a time. "I was terrified every second, Sam, all of it, the press, court, Janet, Winston, I just wouldn't let go." "That's what did it," he said. "You held on when nobody else would. Place like this needed a Murphy who was too stubborn for her own good." A gust rattled the barn doors, but now, nothing inside her leapt at shadows. "I keep thinking about Janet," Kara admitted, voice small. "Part of me wishes she'd stayed. Family, even broken, is better than none." Sam considered that. "You gave her a chance. Sometimes the best we can do is make sure the next folks have something better coming." She nodded, then pulled out a battered notebook, her grandfather's final ledger. "I want to finish what he started. Local programs, real investment. Give this place a chance to breathe again." A boy's laughter drifted from the farmhouse porch, one of the neighbor's children spinning an old tractor key on a string. New voices rising, not haunted by the past. Sam nudged her gently. "You already started, Kara. Maybe the valley can echo forward now instead of drowning in silence." She looked out over the land, green and shining, and felt at last the fragile hope she'd carried all her life finally stretch, take root. "I think it can," she whispered. "For the first time, I do." The storm clouds faded, the sun broke gold on the grass, and Kara Murphy, scarred but unbroken, walked back to the porch to unlock a future that, at last, belonged to her.